responsible for 50% of the research on contraception in white-tailed deer, and they have no proof whatsoever that it can be used in free-ranging populations. So I just want to know what we can do in that situation, and hopefully I can follow up on the ecological effects of that.
According to wildlife biologists at the ASPCA and the Humane Society of the United States, and I should say, PETA's mission statement is animals are not ours to eat, to wear, to experiment on, or to use for human amusement. And since we were founded in 1980, we've really focused on those areas, the areas where the most animals suffer the most. And we tend to refer hunting questions to either the Humane Society of the United States or the ASPCA. Both of those groups have excellent wildlife biologists and excellent videos that talk about what their wildlife biologists say, which is that populations that are hunted tend to procreate more rapidly. I mean, you see that with human beings. Populations under duress, so whatever the duress, will populate more quickly. You know, you see that the areas of the world that have the highest infant mortality rates also have the highest birth rates. And so their argument is that allowing people to hunt becomes part of the problem rather than part of the solution. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals is willing to look at situations where lethal means are literally the only option. We're not going to take Hunter's word for it. We're not going to take DNR's words for it. But in that scenario, if it really were, if you had to pick a lethal one solution and it had to be lethal, for us it would be sharpshooters.
To not only follow with that as far as my problem with it would be, especially in this economy, money is very tight. And finally, for the first time last year, research proved in southeastern Pennsylvania that managed archery hunting was twice as effective at reducing the population. They kill twice as many deer for half the cost of the $150,000 government sharpshooting program.
Yeah, I mean, it's a convenient statement. I think oftentimes...
It's not convenient, it's fact. And bottom line, I understand the emotional argument. My only thing is, I care about beyond the deer. I care about our next generation of forests. Our forestry generation is decimated in Pennsylvania because of the deer management that persisted for the last century. And to say that this way is best for the environment, that's just blatantly false.
Okay, I mean, you say it's blatantly false, and I'm not an expert in this issue. I will say that the Humane Society of the United States, they have wildlife biologists who disagree with you, and their only interest is in doing what's best for the deer, and they disagree with you. So I tend to take...
It's not what's best for the deer, it's what's best for the humans, because deer and
right.
conflicts will be less. It's best for all the other wildlife, because deer destroy habitat for other species of wildlife. Neotropical migratory birds, small mammals. I'm not going to take all the time.
I will have to move on to somebody else.
I do just want to finish what I was saying now, and that is that PETA is willing to look at situations where they are, basically choosing the lesser of two evils, and we're happy to do that in situations where that's necessary. And sometimes that means lethal solutions. But we're going to look at disinterested scientists who are actually trying to do what's best for the animals involved. And I pick up hunting magazines on occasion. All of my uncles and aunts hunt, and they have hunting magazines lying around, so I see them at Christmas. And the hunting magazines are always talking about, when they're talking about managing deer populations, they're talking about how to get more deer to shoot every single time.
That's
okay.
Right.
Right there in the back, right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's slow but sure, but we're certainly seeing more and more people adopting a vegetarian diet, and consequently more and more alternatives available kind of everywhere. I mean, I'm deeply encouraged by the number of people who are adopting a vegetarian diet, the number of people who are expressing more compassion for animals, all across the spectrum. And certainly the college campaign and the college campuses that, 20 years ago when I adopted a vegan diet, 22 years ago, you wouldn't be able to get vegan options in Penn State's cafeteria, and now you can. And that's not because Penn State's cafeteria has gone all, compassionate. It's because there's the demand, which I think should be applauded.
Right there.
My name's Kevin, and I am vegetarian, but I just wanted to note how you say that it takes care of things like famine, and I mean, I definitely support feeding the hungry, but it seems to me like I know that half of the food that's produced in America is just thrown in the trash, and so it seems to me that not all of the food that we're eating is going to Africa or places in need. It's like, yeah, I'm vegetarian, so I'm consuming a lot less, or I'm not consuming any meat, but it's not like anything extra is going there because of it. It just doesn't seem like our system has a way of spreading the food to places that need it. So I was just wondering if you knew of any programs or anything like that that do take the excess food and give it to places in need.
Well, I mean, that's sort of a two-part question. And the first part is economists are in complete unanimity that there is a direct relationship. Both eating meat as well as diverting crops to biofuels cause the price of corn and grain to go up, which causes people to starve to death. Like, there aren't environmental or resource economists who disagree with that statement. So we're not talking about you don't eat meat and boom, food is sent somewhere. We're talking about you don't eat meat, and to a tiny degree, since it's just you, the price of crops go down because the demand for meat goes down. And as the price of crops go down, some people who would otherwise not have been able to eat meat, the price goes down so that they can eat meat. What the meat industry is it's that, you relationship writ massively. And so for the same reason that biofuels at 100 million tons cause the price of food to go up like 40%, to the highest rates for staple crops in history, the meat industry wasn't that immediate boom, but it's still 7 times as great, making the demand, causing the price to go up exponentially more. And there is a direct relationship.
Right there in the back behind the computer.
Yes. I just have a few things to refer to the slideshow. One thing, in order to support our mass agriculture system right now with growing grains, vegetables, whatever, you need the livestock industry in order to put the nitrates in the soil in order to do that. Just growing a potato crop or one of the tubers that put nitrates in the soil naturally is not enough to have a sustainable crop like that. Two, the thing about global warming, one volcano puts more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere than livestock and humans do in one day. And then three, mine is a concern with PETA support for the Animal Liberation Front, mostly concerning Rodney Coronado and Gary Gorofsky.
I'm sorry, what was the second name?
It was Gary Gorofsky.
Okay.
I want to know why you support basically domestic terrorism for burning down research laboratories that benefit human, cancer research, everything like that. I mean, and especially Rodney Coronado. He was convicted for burning down a research lab at Michigan State University. Much as I hate Michigan State University, nobody should be getting their research buildings burned down. Those are multi-million-dollar facilities. And that gets pawned off on the students and the taxpayers who built.
Not even Michigan State, that's very big of you. Okay, manure. This was the big deal before global warming, right? Raising animals for food. The 10 billion farm animals produce 130 times as much excrement as the entire human population. It can't be used on crops. It destroys topsoil. It pollutes water. It creates massive odor problems. It destroys communities. We go into this on our website. We've got massive amounts of manure, and it's a huge environmental problem, which is one of the issues that the United Nations report tackles on global warming, yeah, there are human-made causes of global warming and there are non-human-made causes of global